get baselines, establish baselines, and then your company's going to want to reach some kind of target. Figure out what that is, and then work backwards from your baseline and figure out how much you need to increase to get to that goal.
Hey, you're listening to More Than Marketing. I'm your host, Arsha Mirsha, joined again by Moni Oloyede. Perfect. Again, right?
Nailed it.
I love it. It's a beautiful last name. Moni and I did an episode. If you are listening to this one, you might want to go back to episode 20 and listen to that one first, because we talk about marketing ops and marketing automation, CRM, and some kind of the perils and therein. Today we're going to go a little deeper, I think. Yeah. Talk about other things that we're seeing and hopefully give you some tips to take back to your companies. Moni, can I have you introduce yourself again now?
Sure. So I am a marketing operations kind of specialist, marketing technologist is what I like to kind of refer to myself. But I've been in marketing operations almost my entire career. Started out with Eloqua, and then moved over into learning Marketo and HubSpot and Pardot and a bunch of other tools, consulting, and then coming back in-house. But right now, currently I work for a cybersecurity company, running marketing operations for them.
And I think it's really interesting. I think we talked about this on our first episode, that like marketing ops or marketing operations, it's like that role didn't exist 10 years ago.
No,
right?
Exactly.
And it's cool. Like now it's an actual, you see it on, the job boards, marketing ops.
Yeah.
Companies are starting to realize.
Starting to realize that. I think it's across department, actually. I know, you have sales operations and, HR operations and DevOps, exactly. Wherever there's sort of like the technology, you need operations to kind of bring those things together. So.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. You nailed it. Because I was just about to ask. Let me just ask, like, what is marketing ops? Like, why do we need marketing ops?
Right. So
it's where the technology is.
It's where the technology is. And not only where the technology is, but making at certain point, if you have more than two technologies, they need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right? And connecting them and making that as seamless as a process as you possibly can.
That's a major trend that my partner and I are seeing and are talking about, is that, rewind 10, 5, even 5 years ago, even a couple years ago, data was, and still is today, but moving forward won't be, is siloed or was siloed, right? So there's data sitting in these different platforms, and so that gives you a little bit of an excuse if you're a marketer, right? You can be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing in the data or in the platforms that I'm in.
Right.
And you don't tie that to anything else, like sales data, CRM, for example.
Yep.
And so you kind of have an excuse. Yeah, my number's looking great.
Exactly.
But
you're seeing this part of the picture,
exactly.
Right? You're only looking at your view, and that's not necessarily the view of the entire business. So yes, absolutely, and that's part of kind of like, so in our first conversation we talked kind of like, how do you get off the ground and what are the kind of foundational things of marketing operations. But once you start to get into the technology and the process of putting them together, you start to realize that data is kind of the hub of all of it. And how do you streamline it, kind of make it uniformed, and then make it something that you can actually be actionable on, right? Like, okay, what do I do with this stuff? I've gotten to a lot of companies and they have tons of data and it's great, but it's like, okay, now what do I do with this? Right. Or like, I got my KPIs, I have this open rate and this click-through rate and got this many MQLs, and it's like, great, and so what? Is that good, bad, ugly? Like, do you need to make that better? How do you increase that by 10%, 15% to reach your goals?
So so what do you do? I mean, okay, now so, because what do? You go into a company, let's say, and you see they have these click-through rates and this many MQLs or whatever. What is the next step?
So it's a great, excellent question. And I'll tell anybody, if you run into the situation, is you need to find what baseline is for that company, right? So like when I walked into my company, I already knew, and I actually walked in at a good time. I started there in October, which is, Q4. So I already had like, just give me the quarter, like January 1, I'll come in and implement, and this is what we're going to do. But like, just give me a couple months to kind of figure out what's going on. Yeah. And it's either realize what the baselines are by going back and looking at what was historically there, or establishing my own if none exist.
Yes.
Because that could be the case too as well. They could not be tracking certain things that need to be tracked.
Tracking could be broken, for example. Yeah, sure. or a system's not talking
It's
to
just
it.
not talking to each other.
Yeah.
Exactly. Data is just crappy. It's just
Right.
wrong.
Right.
That happens too.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so get baselines.
Get baselines, establish baselines, and then kind of meet your company's going to have a goal, right? You're not pulling things out of thin air. Your company's going to want to reach some kind of target. Figure out what that is, and then work backwards from your baseline, exactly, and figure out how much you need to increase to get to that goal.
Yeah.
So that's what I did too as well. And again, that went back to like some of the data was flat wrong. I had to go back from scratch and really figure it out.
And I could see, Moni, that so company has a goal, they want to grow revenue by 10 million this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's an average deal size? So divide those two. Now you know how many deals you need, right?
Yep.
Great. What's the average close rate? Okay, because you're just backtracking, right?
Yep.
And you're kind of reverse engineering back to marketing,
exactly,
right? Top of the funnel, or whatever,
exactly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, then when you look at that funnel, so to speak, although it's a flywheel now, that's a topic. It's a topic for another podcast.
All right.
But when you look at that, then you say, oh, you know what? We don't have clean data here,
mm-hmm.
or this to get this. To get this metric, we need to integrate with this platform,
mm-hmm.
or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Because like one good example, for instance, is all the different ad platforms we got:
mm-hmm.
Google, Facebook, LinkedIn,
mm-hmm.
Twitter, Reddit,
yep.
Quora. Well, okay, let's consolidate all of our spend into one report. Let's consolidate. Are those leads that are coming in? I've had clients,
mm-hmm.
Moni, where it happened to us. We're running LinkedIn ads.
mm-hmm.
People were responding,
mm-hmm.
Filling out the lead form, but that wasn't going to our CRM.
Oh,
and so what happens?
Exactly.
You don't follow up.
You don't follow up. Exactly.
So that's where marketing ops comes in and says, what are y'all doing?
What are you doing with these? What happened with this?
Yeah, what happened with this?
Exactly.
What are you doing here? And let me make sure that is in our system of truth, which is CRM.
Exactly. That's also like when I come into a new company, I never panic. There's always going to be low-hanging fruit.
Sure.
Always. Like there's something broken here, something missing over here. If you just tweak this dial here, you're going to get some quick, easy wins.
Yeah.
So never panic. There's always something that could plug, that could be, hole that could be plugged really quickly to show some results while you work on the rest of it.
So what are some of those common things, right, that you've seen
mm-hmm.
in your tenure?
Yeah, so I mean, a good thing about data management is a couple things. So one is just getting it standardized, right?
Okay.
So if you have a marketing automation platform and you're not running any kind of data standardization campaigns, those are quick, easy wins for you. Mm-hmm. So if you do things like, if you have USA, you want to standardize it all to United States. Mm-hmm. As soon as they come in, you can set up campaigns looking for those parameters, and then as soon as it comes in, you just switch it out.
Nice.
And then phone number, unifying phone number. It's been a best practice not to ever change job title, but look for have a corresponding role.
Wow.
And then, you look at the title, and if the title has this certain number of characters or this certain, phrase or word in it,
yeah.
then you change it to whatever the job role is.
Okay.
And then you can run segmentation based off
that. And I think that's the important part.
Mm-hmm.
My last one is, hey, I want to segment my database because I want to make sure they're getting relevant messaging,
exactly.
right? Not just emailing not just, what'd you call it, something in blast?
Batch and blast.
Say it again.
Batch and blast.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm not just batching and blasting, right?
I
want to, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard it, but I get it. I want to make sure I'm segmenting my audience so that when I email them, for instance, or when I have a new piece of content,
exactly,
and I want to get it out to them, I'm getting it to the right people. You don't want to, hit the technical person, guy or gal, with something that's like about the economics of your business, right? You want to hit the economic buyer with that.
1,000%. So there's just data standardization things you can do kind of out the gate that are quick, easy to get your data into a point where you can start again doing something actionable
mm-hmm.
with it, not just like sending out whatever.
And again, Moni, I think it starts with knowing, kind of having the end in mind.
Yes.
So in this case, it's end in mind is, hey, I know that my open rates, click-through rates, my engagement rates are going to be better when I segment.
1,000%. I mean, you hit something that is like one of my golden rules when creating anything, which is having a goal in mind, because you can really, especially in operations, you can slice things up so many different ways and go into so many rabbit holes. Have your goal in mind and then work backwards from that, so you don't just have 1,000 variations of the one thing that you could have done, once over, and now it's, done some rabbit hole to the, millisecond zip code degree of location.
Because that's, to your point, like that's where you get into analysis paralysis. There's a ton of data, but having a goal in mind, I want to send targeted, or here, I want to improve the engagement rates of my emails.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do I do that? Well, one way to do that is to segment, so you're offering a personalized message, so it's more relevant to me. more likely to open it.
Exactly.
Okay, well, how do I do that? Well, I need to know who the people are. How do I do that? Oh, I got to have standardized job roles
Exactly.
that someone fills out, whether it's a human or
right, or automated.
Right.
Exactly.
Cool.
1000%. That's a golden rule. Have a goal in mind. That's when building campaigns. That's when building process. That's anything.
Yep.
Have the goal in mind and work back.
So, is there any way to is there any way to kind of automate knowing when the data is an issue? Like,
it's a good.
Like I think of like data integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey, I know that this custom field or this field,
Mm-hmm.
custom or not, runs these workflows.
Mm-hmm.
So you might run a report that says, show me.
You can do like so there's a couple of you can do like field completion. So that's a huge one. Like how much is this field data populated with this field?
That's good.
Because it's only if you only have 20% of zip codes in your database, you're not going to run segmentation based on that, right? Brilliant. Or you need to buy data to supplement that.
You need to enrich it, right?
So that is definitely it. I want to say another big one with data integrity is probably like percentage of bounce or percentage of unsubscribe is a huge one, and monitoring that. If you see a huge spike in unsubscribes, that's a huge red flag, right? You're doing something wrong. Yep. If you have huge bounces, that data list is bad. So wherever you got it from, it's not good at all.
Right.
So you want to monitor those two things as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's something that it's tough because you have to know what fields are running what workflows or automation.
You do, but again, it shouldn't be that many. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? If you have 20 segments, unless you're an enterprise level company and that is what's required of your business, you analysis
process.
Don't go too far either.
You're doing too much.
Keep it to 5, something manageable.
Yeah.
Unless you have a team or, like I said, you're a big enterprise company with multiple business units and stuff. That's a different story. But
no, it makes sense. And data integrity, because I think you said this on the last one. We have the whole point of marketing operations is to make sure we're getting the most out of this technology.
That's right.
And because we're paying for it.
That's right.
We're paying these big bucks for this technology, and we want to make sure we're getting the most out. So that's kind of like, I think I asked you this last time. How do I know if marketing ops is doing their job well? Like, how do I hold you accountable?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the answer was, right, like, that we're getting the most out of technology.
Get the most out of technology, 1,000%. That is it, and that you have the ability to track that. Yeah. Is also marketing's operations' biggest responsibility. Right. The ability to measure that in some whatever the company describes as a shared, metrics for measuring that. But that's marketing operations' job. It's like, this is how I show that this is being effective.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I like that. So it's like. So data integrity, like their percentage completion. Hey, I know that we're segmenting based off of this field. Well, show me a list of all the contacts in my database that don't have that filled out.
Exactly.
And now, whoever the contact owner is or assignee is, tap them on the shoulder. Yeah. I need you to fill this out.
I need you to fill this out to figure out how to get that data, quickly and more seamlessly, and make that part of the process.
Because that's the thing, we're sold this kind of like pie in the sky, like this dream. Oh, I'm buying this marketing automation platform. It's going to solve all
my problems, generate all this revenue for me.
But
turn it on like a switch. All this revenue.
Yeah, right.
Out.
Yeah, wee.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not how it works.
Not how it works
in fact, it kind of could cause more problems because you. Realize you may or may not know what you're doing, or the data's not clean.
The data's not clean, and the gift and the curse of marketing automation systems today are, it's like any technology, right? The better they get, the more you're able to do, or the more you're able to do if you haven't done the foundational stuff. None of the other stuff works.
You can't build.
You can't build on it.
It's so funny. I had this team of this contractor was renovating my house, right? And I was like, hey man. Do you know how to do this? He's like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, do you know how to do this? I was thinking about doing that. Yeah, I can do that. I was like, is there anything in home renovation that you don't know how to do? He's like, man, I can do everything except build a home in the sky. And I was like, what? Right? So he's basically saying, look, man, if the house is on a foundation, I can do it all. If your foundation's cracked, like if there's no foundation in the sky, so we can't do anything,
It's a phenomenal analogy.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of weirdly ties in.
Yes.
All right, let's switch topics. Not topics, but I really want to know about attribution. Analytics, measurement, attribution.
Yeah.
Anything you have there, I think will be fantastic.
Sure.
I think I feel clamoring for that in the industry. People want.
So just like everything else in operations, and attribution and analytics is a build too as well. So like I was saying, right, the kind of foundational part of that is establishing what the baseline is, right? You just wouldn't kind of come in and like, oh, the company wants to make, grow 10 million in revenue. You'd be like, all right, great, see you later. Like, no, like, what do you have here that establishes that that's even the right number?
Yeah, right. That's a good
to
point.
even go off of.
That's a good point.
So established baselines is the very first thing. Okay, you have your baseline. Then you want to do what's called, having KPIs or key performance indicators. Normally, this is kind of out of the realm of opens and clicks and more in the realm of your funnel management, your MQLs, your SQLs, your opportunities, that sort of thing, and measuring based off those sorts of conversion rates, which is totally fine. If you have another way of measuring that, that's completely up to you. That's kind of a standardized industry thing that everyone does. And then kind of when you get to that part, you sort of realize there are kind of cracks in that way of measuring things, in the sense of like the funnel is a normal, when you go through it, it's not linear.
It's not. That's the problem.
That's the big issue with that measurement type.
Yes.
Basically, because it's not linear. And then when that really comes to attribution, when people try to apply attribution to it, it's like, this does not step 1, 2, 3, 4, close, opportunity, win. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
So attribution,
I noticed that too.
Yeah, so it's hard, and it's hard. So if anyone's trying to go through it right now and you're finding it a struggle, you're not alone. It's totally normal. It's a hard thing to kind of settle on.
Especially, I think, in certain industries where you have a longer sales cycle, or you have multiple buyers,
yes,
right?
Huge buying committee,
Then you try to put some attribution down, and you're using last touch model, right?
Right.
Hey, they clicked on our ad and they converted. Well, upon further analysis, that was a retargeting ad, and to be on a retargeting campaign in that audience, you had to have been to the site.
Yep.
Well, when did they first come to the site? How did they first get there? Was it by email? Was it organic? Was it a paid source? Or right? Oh, we don't have that because they didn't convert that time, or the window was too far. So, there's a lot of, I think, we are not sold. I don't want to say that. It's not anyone's fault, but we think that, hey, all this technology, we should be able to know
exactly.
Right?
The problem is we do know, we just don't like the answer.
Oh,
like
shoot.
We know.
There you go.
We just don't like that it's not in this pretty picture for a show up to the dashboard report, right? It's all there. So, I mean, we're running the same thing. Like, I work for a cybersecurity company, long sales cycle, huge buying committee. And the biggest thing with attribution is the person might have came in 2 years ago for a webinar and didn't actually want to raise their hand to buy something until 2 years later, right? Again, if I'm doing first touch, what is that? You know what I mean? That's not really, marketing got them in the door, but there was nothing happening there. And the sales is going to pick that up and run with it. So the thing with attribution is the models. That's the huge, what type of model do you want to use for your attribution? Personally, at our company, we do, it's called like a middle model. There's a bunch of different names for it, but we only count the contacts that are attached to the actual opportunity and then their related campaigns.
Okay, so only when it's an opportunity, not when it's pre-opportunity.
Not when it's pre-opportunity stage.
Really?
Only because that's our organization. We care about opportunity. They wouldn't if I took that to the board, they wouldn't care. But it's a valid metric.
But is that because your opportunities stay opportunities for years?
Yeah. Or? So when there's a meeting, we create an opportunity.
Oh, as soon as there's a meeting.
As soon as there's a meeting, we create what's called a zero stage. So it doesn't hit pipeline, but it is an opportunity.
Okay, so that's earlier than I thought.
No. We make them early because our sales guys aren't going to manage a contact.
Sure.
So we make them opportunities to something that they manage.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
See, that's good. That's actually a little mini kind of hint here, right? It's like you need to think about your organization and how your people are going to work, right? So your salespeople are not going to work a contact. No. They're going to work an opportunity.
That's correct. Yes. And I also don't make them update 1 million fields in Salesforce. They update 1 field. That's it. So just this is a status field. Just let me know what you're doing with it.
Right.
It's open, in progress, qualified, meeting, and then that's it. That's all I make you do. And if it's a meeting, you turn it into an opportunity.
But so to that same end of now you're talking about your salespeople and you're saying, I know that they're not going to work a contact, they'll work an opportunity. I know that they're not going to be in CRM updating all these fields, so I won't burden them with that.
Right.
On let's talk about marketing though.
Yep.
I think marketing should be looking at lots of data, big look back windows. I think they should be looking at first touch and last touch attribution, and as much as in between as they can.
1000%.
Right, like email is going to be in between usually.
Oh, yeah.
Last touch is usually good. Well, depends on the org. I'm trying to.
Yeah. No, I have some like ancillary data around this. So like for our company, for example, it takes about, on average, about 90 days for you to get from a raw lead to an MQL, and then from an MQL to an opportunity opens a meeting, basically. Is another 90-ish days.
So 80 days has passed.
Yep, 6 months already just to get you to the meeting.
Right.
And then we're talking another 12 months after that once you're in the opportunity stage to run you through the sales cycle.
And some happen sooner, some happen
1000%, 1000%.
But you looked at the mass, like, I mean, you exported it all, or you did something, right?
I had to, because in that sense, that works backwards into also my funnel metrics, but how I evaluate the success of my campaigns. I can't evaluate them on success of 3 months. It takes 6 months to get you to this point.
Right.
So like of saying this thing is a success or a failure, this campaign is not fair within 30 days, 90 days.
Thank you. I'm praying to the marketing gods, because one issue I see, especially in Salesforce campaigns, is that you'll run a Salesforce campaign, and that will be, okay, it was this conference we're going to. So, okay, we got the email list, we emailed them, we did some advertising, we got some contacts that way. And so a contact will be associated to this campaign, and it'll later go and it'll close into a deal, right? An opportunity, and then, become close one, and then we'll look back and say, this campaign generated this much revenue. But if you really dig a little bit deeper, you'll see that this person or this contact or this company, they've been in the system for longer than that, way longer, 2 years to your point. You just saw a webinar 2 years ago.
Yep.
So now it's not fair to say this campaign did it. This campaign had a touch.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Maybe that was the touch that put them over the board, and we should know that.
Exactly.
And we should optimize for that, right? But it's not.
You can't give it all the credit. And back to your point about attribution, right? Another point of the model, right? So it's like, who should get part of the credit, and then how do you divvy up your campaigns, and at what stage are you giving credit to? So like, I know some of them do like, first touch gets 20%, and then last touch gets 30%, and some you divide the middle up in 50% or whatever. But you can actually see now we're adding on another layer of complexity to an already complex model. So if you're struggling with attribution, don't feel bad at all.
And don't complicate it.
Don't complicate it.
Start with what matters.
Exactly.
The whole point. Let's bring this full circle.
Yep.
We started talking about data management, data integrity. It all comes back to the data, ladies and gentlemen, because why do we want clean data? We want clean data. I'm answering my own question. Sorry, I'm not a good host. Let me ask you, why do we want clean data?
Finish, because I have another point.
All right, okay. Yeah. So we want clean data because we want to use that data to make decisions, right? We want to understand, like, if someone comes to me and says, hey, like, show me our attribution, right? They're not buying attribution from me. They're buying a decision that's going to impact where they move their marketing dollars.
That's correct.
And resources and efforts.
Absolutely.
They're not buying the attribution model. They're buying the decision.
Okay? Exactly.
So I can't make that decision without clean data. Otherwise, I'm making a dirty decision. Just dirty data, making a dirty decision.
Exactly.
So we talked about the technology won't work. The emails won't go out. The segmentation won't work if the data's not clean. The same thing happens in attribution. I can't tell you where to put your money or not put your money or resources if the data is not clean.
If it's not clean, and if your processes aren't set up to track it properly, right? Based on the goals that you set for that either individual campaign or for yourself for the year, that matches whatever goal you're trying to reach.
Exactly.
1000%. So again, you can get to a lot of these things too by digging in and not having to have the most accurate 1000% attribution model as well, right? Like what I did, I took a couple of opportunities and did a buyer's journey on them. It gave me a way more information than trying to figure out some complicated attribution model. Just take two and work them backwards and see what happened. I know a guy came from a trade show. He actually referenced us to another person within his company. Where does that handle? Where did that go? Went to a couple of webinars. It took over a year. He engaged in some white papers, still stayed in breath, but he went dark within that whole thing, came back again, signed up for another event. It's all over the
Yeah, but what you did,
place.
Moni, let me just tell you, let me for what I heard you do. You took, let's just say, one deal.
Yep.
You said, okay, this deal has these 3 contacts on it. I'm going to look at these 3 contacts under a microscope, see what they did.
Yes.
Okay, one of them came from trade show, one of them came from webinar, one of them came from offline sources because the other one referred them in.
Exactly.
Okay, so then now you're starting to build a little model in your head.
Yep.
Hey, do webinars actually work? Mm-hmm. Then you go in the system and say, let me see all contacts who have ever come from a webinar.
Exactly.
Has any of those driven to a lead, right?
Exactly.
Okay, let me see all people who came from a trade show. Have any one of those turned into an opportunity?
Exactly.
Now you start asking questions.
Ask questions and making patterns themselves. And then what we realize is nurture campaigns are great for continuing education and keeping us kind of relevant, top of mind. Webinars are actually good for converting things over. Trade shows are good lead gen, but that's about it. They're good for getting names. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so a lot of it ends up being like comments that make sense.
And so now when you go measure a trade show, you're not measuring by how many dollars you made from that trade show. You're measuring how many new
names I got. Exactly. Because that's my goal now. And my
that's
goal for
goal.
that is not revenue because it's not a revenue thing.
Oh my God, I want 100. It's so good. It's so good. Because that's back to your point of setting the goal.
Yes.
Now I know that when I go to a trade show, that's my goal.
That's
and
my
you
goal.
can't hold me accountable to revenue when that's
not the purpose of what we're trying to do.
Oh my God, I'm having too much fun. All right, for the sake of time in this episode.
We ended so beautifully. We gotta come on.
It's part 3. Part 3 is in the making. Part 3 is in the making.
Exactly.
This is part 2. We'll do part 3.
Exactly.
Moni Oloyede, such a cool name. Such a pleasure talking to you as always. Data. I think the one thing we can take away is like data integrity, data management.
Yes, it's key.
It's key.
It's key.
It runs everything.
It runs everything.
In all your platforms. So if you do nothing else, go ask, hey, is my data clean?
Yes.
Start running some reports.
Start digging in. Just like export an Excel file and see what you get. See what's in there.
See what's in there.
Yeah.
Or what's not in there.
Or what's not in there.
Right?
Yeah, and how ugly it is, how bad it is.
And how much enrichment you need.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, y'all. Thank you, Moni, for being here. Like, subscribe, share. Again, first episode is number 20 with Moni, so go check that one out if you are at this point in this one. We'll talk about some relative stuff, maybe some overlap, maybe not. Doesn't matter. It's all fun. All fun and games.
Part 3 coming.
Part 3 on its way. Thank you all. See you next time. Cheers.